Welcome back to Thunderdome for another Zone Coverage Football Machine, Zone Coverage Podcast Network. I'm your not so humble host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine. And I have equity, more equity than Yinka's damn candy draft.
Okay, you talking about mine. People are roasting Sam.
I'm lapping you in the poll. I'm
no,
Wait,
I think you were only beating me by 1%.
Yeah, that's the joke.
Oh.
Joining me is Arif Hassan, NFL. What's going on?
Hey, I'm surprised I'm winning the candy pool. I'm usually insanely confident about our food drafts.
Yeah.
This one I wasn't as sure on, but I'm really happy with the results.
See, I think you coming in relaxed helped because some of the previous drafts you overthought, you strategized.
It's true. Yeah.
You thought about, well, do I go with what I want or what the people want? But what if the people want what I want? But it's so. Yeah, I mean, this one just slang it. You're like Ken Stabler just coming in is like, all right.
Yeah.
Throw the ball.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yinka, Iende at Sexy Prince. What's going on?
Yeah, man. That was fun. I did really enjoy the candy draft. And I think Arif had a good point off air where it's like, even so, like all of our baskets are pretty fun.
They're all good.
So, yeah.
No one will be upset at getting any of these baskets, even the candy corn one.
I might be a little bit upset at. Hold on, let me take a look.
Also, we know that each bag has some of those black and orange peanut butter like taffy things that just sort of show up.
I would be upset at Sam's basket.
You would?
I would.
It's got jelly bellies, man.
Yeah, but
Twix,
I really could probably
Reese's Pieces.
I probably yeah. Come on.
I mean,
man.
you can't have the Reese's Pieces.
I would have like the Mike and Ike's. I would have the Jelly Bellies. I would have candy corn, and the Twix.
You don't like Sam's basket, but you don't even dislike it for the reason that everyone else seems to dislike it, which is the candy corn. You're like fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I wasn't as fine with it as how high he picked it, but I was good with it.
Right, from like a value. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, you get this basket. What, you don't like York peppermint patties or something?
No, I do. They're fine.
It's a fine basket.
They're
all fine baskets.
It's okay. I do like our other three better. I'm just saying.
Overall, what would you gentlemen say has been the value of the draft? Like Stephon Diggs in the fifth, and what's been the biggest bust?
Well, so
or who got overdrafted?
I would guess that the Hershey's Kisses was the best. That's the pick by Yinka in the 8th round. Was the best value in the draft. People are talking about some of these 12th round picks. They talked about your Mr. Goodbar pick. Someone mentioned the whatchamacallit pick. I think someone mentioned gummy worms. But I do think the Hershey's Kisses is probably the highest value pick.
Yeah, and I was surprised that when it was still on the board because I was going to pick it probably in the 6th, but I saw Smarties out there and I had to get it.
You just had to.
Yeah, Sour Patch Kids was a great pick too. Worst pick, I mean, the candy corn is the one that's getting blasted. I think $100,000 in the 2nd round was. I mean, I like $100,000, but like, that's not a 2nd round candy bar, man.
Yeah, Sam was just going GGYG, GGYC, go get your candy.
Yeah,
he's doing that. Something that we're doing is open up the phone lines as well as we got your Twitter questions. So we'll bring on home in hour 2. When you guys dressed up as kids, what was your favorite Halloween costume?
Oh, man.
Yeah, the 2 times you got to go trick-or-treating, Inga.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
That's a good one.
Now, was this pre-movies or during, like, the Tobey Maguire run?
I think I want to say, so I was 7, so the movie hadn't come out yet. So, yeah, it was like a really older, kind of tattered Spider-Man one.
I dressed up as 3 different pirates over 3 years, and I won 3 separate costume contests with it. I apparently pull off a really good pirate costume.
You should be in the Pirates reboot that apparently they're doing without Johnny Depp.
Reboot? Oh well, yeah. It's just Pirates without Johnny Depp. That's the reboot.
Yeah. Now I completely forgot. Oh, friend of the show, Patrick Daugherty getting in the mix. I completely forgot about. You remember Gangnam Style?
Oppa Gangnam Style.
Yeah, of course I remember that. It has like a billion plays on. Like that's not even an exaggeration. I think it has an actual billion plays on YouTube.
Because I remember after the year that came out. I went as him for Halloween, and I learned the stupid dance. And then I won a $300 gift card from a bar in a Halloween costume contest.
Nice.
It was gone by the end of the night.
Nice.
That's how it goes. Yeah. Because, of course, everyone else in the group who did not dress up, who did not go after the pin, didn't go after the gusto in the Halloween costume party, of course, they're just like, we shall partake of this.
Yeah.
But that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Oh, once I went as as Sirius Black. That was really popular. I like.
Oh, the anime. I don't know these things.
It's a Harry Potter character.
Oh. See, I was either gonna say that or it was like
What the?
maybe it's like
Yinka, what are we doing on this
I'm
podcast?
just gonna look at my phone.
was an offshoot of Aloe Black. He become black like Chris Gaines style. Is that what's happening?
I do like Aloe Black.
Has he had any other songs beside that one
Candyman.
If you just play like his Spotify, it's amazing.
Is it good?
Yeah.
I think it was the Javion Clowney year where they got to pick their walkout songs and like seven.
7 people picked "I'm the Man."
Yeah.
Yeah, that one got overplayed, but I mean, like, it's one of those songs that's only a problem because it's overplayed. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's just as soon as you heard it, you knew it was going to be overplayed. Yeah, that happens.
Hey, Eric, we need to work out like a yellow card system where you like ball up a yellow card and throw it at me when we have a call. Yeah. Hey, caller, who we got?
This is Joe Hawthorne from Cincinnati.
Hey, Joe, what's going on, man? What's on your mind?
Nothing. I was calling. My question is this. Is it disrespectful to still wear a Teddy Bridgewater jersey on game day?
Absolutely not.
I didn't think so.
It's weird to have a
Because I
Jets
like
one.
Cousins.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, I think a lot of people just kind of understand that Bridgewater means a lot to the team in a lot of ways, even if he's like no longer kind of on the roster. And I think even like, if like 8 years from now, he's making Pro Bowls with the Saints or whatever, and you wear a Vikings Bridgewater jersey to a Vikings Saints game, I think people are still going to get it.
Do you think his
plus
mystique
jerseys are like $150 for a good one. So like, that's outrageous.
Yeah, jerseys have
they're
gone
wild.
insane because I remember when I was a kid, they were like $40, but of course they weren't like the authentic stitched on, like they were the iron on numbers and stuff. But now it's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
you're shelling out a $150 for a jersey. Like, damn, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have since I'm from Ohio, I have a buddy that's a Browns fan, and you guys remember Colt McCoy?
Yeah.
You can get a Colt McCoy jersey for $7 on Fanatics.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I
that's
kind of
my
like
favorite
Colt
thing
McCoy.
in the entire.
I like that. I think if I
would
was a
take that.
Browns fan, I'd just accumulate a bunch of cheap novelty jerseys over the years.
I
It'd be
mean,
pretty fun.
that's all of them except for Joe Thomas.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the only good player that's came through there, and since they rebooted, isn't he? Like, I mean, I guess Isaiah Crowell looks decent in a Jets uniform, but I don't know.
It's really
Talk about
depressing
the
that
Vikings.
number
would
2
you guys?
is
Would you
Isaiah
guys?
Crowell.
Oh wait, what? I'm so sorry.
It's really depressing that Isaiah Crowell is your automatic number 2 in terms of Browns post 1999
Oh yeah, that's
Pantheon.
depressing. Do you guys think that we could get the same production out of Teddy that we get out of Cousins? Or do you think it's worth the high price tag for Cousins? Do you think Teddy wouldn't be able to throw the deep balls like Cousins can? What are your guys' opinions on that?
Personally, I think that you'd probably actually get, and it pains me to say, you'd probably get less production out of Bridgewater, and I'd love to be wrong about that, but I think you get way more value. Like, I think, there's some argument to be made that maybe Cousins is overpaid, and I think there's a good argument to be made in that respect, not as extreme as the ones, we've seen.
Michael.
Yeah, Mike Freeman put out this article that he's like an $84 million flop, and that's not fair either. And I think that the deep ball has become a pretty big part of the Vikings passing game in a good way. And if you're optimistic, Bridgewater improved his deep ball right before he got injured and all that. But I mean, even if we say Bridgewater doesn't perform as well as Cousins does, at least statistically, or from a production standpoint, I think that you'd get way more value out of it, and we wouldn't be having these questions about can you keep Sheldon, can you keep Anthony Barr, and so on. So I think that you'd probably end up producing more wins because it's easier to handle that contract situation.
I will just say, I went to the Vikings-Bengals preseason game, and Teddy Bridgewater put a dime on Jarius, right, in the end zone. It was like a 50-yard pass. It was beautiful. It was an absolute beaut. So I don't know. I think that's a hot topic and a good debate, especially with Sheldon Richardson's, being on a 1-year deal. 55 is on a 1-year deal. Waynes has to come up. Like, there's a lot of big guys on the team that need extending, and we have a QB that costs $85 million, and we're almost at 500 right now. So it's a tough time to be a Vikings fan.
But that's evergreen.
Absolutely.
Yep. Hey, Jordan, appreciate you calling in, man.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, got another one? Hey,
What I say?
caller, who we got?
What I say?
Oh, sorry, what's
Oh wow, that's terrifying. Is this a ghost? Who is this?
This is Fred's ghost. Fred's dead.
Oh no, Fred, no. Oh, I liked Fred.
He was a good guy.
Nah, he's gone now, man.
I want to remember him as.
How'd he die?
I don't know, man. I'm just a ghost. Trick or treating.
Fair enough.
What are you guys doing?
We had a candy draft. I don't know if you saw the results of
It's
that.
the best piece of content we put out in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't see that. Where's 1-1?
Skittles went 1-1. Yinka picked Skittles.
Because I'm
First
smart.
overall. Not a great pick.
Oh,
Fantastic pick.
Skittles is definitely a high tier candy. No question about that. Definitely should have gone in the first 2 rounds. Don't know about 1-1.
Oh, 1-1 easy.
You guys had the 100 grand candy?
Yeah.
Nestle?
Sam has a lot of it in the second round.
Yeah.
That's pretty good bang for your buck there, I think. It's a chewy caramel and milk chocolate and crispy crunchies.
Yeah, because Arif was talking about the crispy crunchies of the Crunch Bar because we left
yeah.
Crackle on there.
Yeah.
But
I'm kind of surprised that no one took Crackle after I took Crunch.
texture's big.
Yeah.
Crackle with a K. Yeah, man. That's cool. Hey, where were you when Adam Thielen fumbled?
I was in the press box.
Oh,
I
man.
looked up. I didn't see it.
Oh,
He's lying.
you're at the game?
Yeah.
Damn. That was brutal, man. I was so sad.
Yeah, but why, Fred?
Why was I sad?
He fumbled away the season. We can now get a better
Yeah.
draft pick. 4, 15, and 1.
Nah.
Wait, that's not math.
I can't believe they just kind of seemed to like fold after that. That was sad. That was a sad part. It wasn't really a fumble so much as like everything just like snowballed off of that. And then they had the ball with 30 seconds and 2 timeouts, and you're paying Cousins all that money just to take a knee or whatever, run it out to Mike Boone. It was weird. Kind of reminded me of when Dalvin got hurt and everything was just crazy after that one game.
Yeah, it went downhill pretty quickly after that.
Yeah. You were there. Were the fans just like was the stadium just like deflated?
Yeah, it's kind of dead.
Yeah, it died after a while.
Like, how loud were the boos when they just ran out the clock pre halftime?
Pretty loud.
Yeah, it was definitely loud.
Yeah, I had left to get an early spot in the line for lunch. And I could hear from, I mean, it's not that far away, but I could hear from where I was, like, these boos raining down. And I was looking up at the TV and I knew that they were, like, kneeling out the 30.
No, they're cheering on Mike Boone. Coming up big on that 7-yard draw. Ooh.
Ooh.
But yeah, the people were pretty pissed.
Mike Boone's ghost. Yeah, man. It was brutal. That was so sad. But they got to win these next 3. I think they really do got to win these next 3.
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's a lot at stake. It's such a close divisional race between 3 different teams instead of just the normal 2. That it's really going to define the season, I think, in a bigger way than either the Rams or the Saints game did.
Yeah. Well, we don't really probably have a shot at the top 2 seeds, so we're looking at winning. We got to win the division. But I do think. I mean, I feel like we could miss the playoffs, and it would just be like the season just be screwed up. Or I think if we make the playoffs, we're going to be like a pretty tough out. Especially if like Zimmer has a pretty good track record of having the team peak at the end of the year. So
Yeah, except for last year.
we could be, huh?
Except for last year.
What are you talking about?
Although it's very possible that he had them super ready for the Super Bowl.
Right, yeah.
They're ready to go. It's like, all right, guys.
Oh, you're talking about the Eagles? Yeah, but they were playing well at the end of the year is what I'm saying. But yeah,
Right.
no, they played not good in the NFC. You're talking about the NFC title game? I didn't watch it. I heard they played poorly, but
Fair enough. So, I mean, what do you think? You think the Vikings are going to make the playoffs then?
I think they have a better chance than Green Bay or Chicago. But yeah, I think they probably will.
There you
I'd
go.
say it's like 60% Vikings, 20% the other two each. 20% for each of them.
Yeah, see, I like happy,
That's all right.
upbeat Fred and
Yeah, that's
hopeful
fair.
Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Huh?
Fred's ghost is very
Oh.
optimistic.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah, because like, what's the worst that can
Man,
happen? I can die.
Man, cut Fred some slack. A dude just died. You guys are.
Dude, I'm not saying I like
Jeez.
Fred's ghost
Yeah.
more than Fred. I'm just saying Fred's ghost is a pretty fun personality to have around.
bear the lead, Yinka. Fred's lady single now.
Oh yeah.
Fred. Oh shit.
Hey, man, thanks for calling
Oh
in.
man.
Yeah, appreciate you, Fred.
All right, friends. We'll take care and we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you, brother. I love.
Fred's great.
We need a 23andMe because I can guarantee you Fred is related to the late great Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm getting that vibe.
Like they're St. Paul cousins. It's great. We got another call? No? All right. Jump into some of these Twitter questions banging about. At the real Gabby, if Vikings go 5-0 and remain in division games, but lose out the rest, does 9-6-1 win the North? And you have tiebreakers over everyone else.
I think I do think 9-6-1. If disaster hits, will be enough to win the division. I think the Packers obviously look very beatable right now, and I think it's partially because like Aaron Rodgers isn't healthy. I don't think he's going to continue to play and not be completely healthy. The Bears obviously they have their issues, and I definitely think the Vikings are probably the best team in the NFC. Despite dropping a few clunkers against obviously the Bills, and then having the lead against the Saints, and then kind of blowing it at the very end. So I do think 9-6-1 will be enough, but that'll just be enough to just barely sneak in and be a fourth seed.
First, 9-6-1 aesthetically, that's just an ugly looking record.
It is.
I don't like it. I think aesthetically, 8-7-1, 7-8-1, they look better. They're obviously worse, but they look better. I like 10-5-1 personally.
I do too.
But yeah, I would say that if they're 9-6-1, they are in a good position to make the playoffs. I don't know if that means they're going to win the division. It's tough. I mean, obviously the Packers and Bears would have to eat each other a little bit, right? Because the Bears have to win one, right? Because the Packers already played the Bears week 1,
Yep.
and
Yeah,
the
that
Packers
was
won. Yeah,
that was a comeback.
yeah. So the Bears would have to win, and that would be on the road for them, I think, right? Because they weren't in Lambeau, weren't they?
Yep, they're in Lambeau.
Oh yeah, so the Bears would win at home. Well, Bears always win at home, right?
Except for against non-NFC North teams.
Right. So I mean that would have to happen, I think. But yeah, the Lions would have to steal some wins from the two of them. But yeah, I could definitely see them making the playoffs. The division win is a little bit tougher for me to see at 9-6-1. It's certainly not impossible.
Like that everyone makes a big deal of like, oh, you have to go to New England and play the Patriots. Ooh. Even though, in the grand scheme of things, like road non-conference games, I mean, it's like, whatever. I mean, it does factor into like common opponents and whatnot, but if you're already into like the third or fourth tiebreaker, it's like, nah, you didn't take care of business.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So just like take that as an L, whatever. The Seattle Monday night game though suddenly gets a little spicy.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
Because I think they're on the upswing right now, right?
Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Uh-huh.
6th in DVOA.
Mm-hmm. It's happening.
It's happening. But yeah, the passing game looks pretty remarkable. Schottenheimer is not as bad of an offensive coordinator as a lot of people anticipated. I'm not going to say he's good, but
Just not as bad.
It's hard
yeah.
to say.
And the defense is showing up at times. I think that you want to see, more consistency before you could say, that defense is good, or it's not back. But
If
like,
only Earl would show up,
right? Yeah, it'd be weird. But yeah, it's a solid defense and a pretty remarkably underrated offense. So yeah, that game is going to end up mattering a lot.
It's gonna be amazing once our first round pick, Rashad Penny, starts contributing. Kind of weird. Generational RB1 going down there. Next up is from GMFBMZE.
Good morning football.
There's a lot of good morning football accounts out there. Is that a thing where people make that their handle?
I haven't noticed that.
Are you happy with the Vikings standing pat at the trade deadline, or was there someone out there that you felt they should have pursued?
I guess I'd have to know who is available to be traded that wasn't traded.
Jamon Brown.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Did he get claimed?
I think so.
Did it by the Giants?
Maybe.
Yep, Giants.
Yeah.
But they got Will Hernandez to play both guard spots.
Yeah, that would have been like a fine pickup, but it's like I don't think Demaryius Thomas for Golden Tate would have been all that great. I don't think Damon Harrison would have been great. Obviously, they're not bad to have on your team, but I think giving up assets and you don't have cap space and all that, so that wouldn't have been great. Who else was traded? I mean, there's a ton of trades. Who else was traded?
That's a good looking question. If only
Clinton Dix.
Oh yeah. I mean the Vikings have 5 safeties.
Yeah. No, I just thought that.
You want timeout?
That wouldn't have been great. That would have been funny as hell. So yeah, nothing there. If the Raiders were still having a fire sale, they've got like one good offensive lineman, right?
Not Colton Miller.
Not Colton Miller. Is Gabe Jackson still on that team?
I believe so.
I'm sure he's for sale.
Yeah, Kelechi out there.
Would have been for sale.
Yeah.
You'd have to clear out cap space. That's the problem.
Yeah, but I was saying this, like Brzezinski should have just restructured like one veteran contract, like 2 hours before the deadline, just to mess with people.
Yeah.
They went out at that point. Next one is from friend of the program, Eric Thompson. Is this the first time post Barry Sanders we have to be genuinely worried about the Detroit run game?
Sure. I don't know. I've always been scared of the running backs that they've put together.
Yeah,
not necessarily because of the running game, but the running backs.
Mikael LaShore.
Like Theo Riddick, I think is a little bit underrated as far as like.
I mean, what he's done to the Vikings.
Yeah. So that's specifically why I'm worried about
it.
And then obviously Kerryon Johnson just being very, very good.
Yeah. But the running game is going to be a problem. I mean, the Vikings have been pretty good against the run. They sort of did a really good job against Alvin Kamara against the run. Mark Ingram got a little bit more going. Sam detailed that a lot in hour 1. But for the most part, I think the Vikings were pretty solid against the run. So I'm not concerned that this is a weakness that they can exploit. But yeah, no, it's a good point that this is like the first time you feel like the running game is a focal point, especially when they get rid of one of the receivers.
Man, Travis Best was really good.
Javed Best.
Javed Best. Sorry, yeah. Travis Best is the guy from the Pacers.
Javed. Javed Best was great.
Yeah. Travis Best was also in He Got Game. He was the 2 guard.
That's great.
Yeah, it was good. We got a bunch more. From Packer fan Chad. Should the league suspend Ty Montgomery for purposely fumbling because he was angry about his playing time?
That's hilarious.
That's a thing?
No, I mean, it's Chad. I mean, it's not real. Ty Montgomery was angry, and he did intentionally take the ball out of the end zone when he was told not to. He didn't purposely fumble. But it was Chad. So whatever.
It's so crazy how many theories people are like, oh, well, this is rigged or whatever.
It's not, a real theory.
Do you know
Chad's played a bit, man.
Do you know how hard it is for the league to actually be rigged? Like, these players would have to spend hours outside of their actual practice to be able to practice.
About like choreography?
Yeah, to be able to choreograph, to make it look real enough that people be like,
you only got to rig a couple of plays, Yinka. I mean,
but you got
to tell Adam Thielen to fumble at the right time.
Oh, yeah. He does it every year.
Yeah, you can play a normal game. As soon as it gets close, oh, no, Adrian Peterson fumble.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And the league has it in for the Vikings, and they want Seattle to win.
I mean, in all honesty, that fumble against the Seahawks in 2015 did look pretty.
That was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad.
guys remember that episode of The Simpsons that aired after the Super Bowl? But of course they did it up beforehand, so they didn't know the teams. So the way they did it is that they just dubbed it in, like they covered up, like Flanders was talking about the game between and he covered up his mouth with a coffee mug, Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's amazing.
Oh, we got a call. That's a good system. Hey, caller, who we got?
Hey, fellas, you got Ben from New York. How's everybody doing tonight?
We are fantastic, man. How you doing? Oh, I gotta give.
I don't know. I might be back on the hooch again after that Saints game. My
Oh
God.
no!
Got the hooch, baby.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. You know what? Earlier in the season, I called in. I said, Reef is cooked. It's the same foot injury. And am I vindicated? Obviously, I don't want to be right. I want the guy to be healthy. I want him to play. But do you guys see him playing at all for the rest of the season?
I think the fact that they haven't put him on IR gives us an indication that they do expect him to play. But yeah, I think it's a longer injury than they assumed, right? And a longer injury than I think anyone's really comfortable with. At least Rashad Hill played well in that one game at left tackle. The other game, not so much. But in the one game, he played pretty well. But yeah, I would expect him to come back sometime late in the season, just because the Vikings haven't seen fit to just put him on IR and grab another tackle somehow.
I think that makes sense. Obviously just hoping for the best there. I just have one other thing for you fellas. Looking ahead on this schedule, obviously a lot of divisional matchups. The one that kind of spooks me the most, honestly, and I guess I use that word ironically on Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I know you didn't even have to do that for me. I'm looking at Bears though in Chicago. I think that's going to be a big challenge. How do you guys feel like we stacked up against the Bears?
Well, it doesn't matter.
I'm not as much
it doesn't
worried about
matter.
the
It's in
Packers or
Chicago. They're going to lose, right? No. I do think it's an issue. It depends on how healthy Khalil Mack is, right? Because I think he's going to have an enormous impact on the game. So if he's healthy, it creates a pretty big problem. I don't know. I still think Mitchell Trubisky is fake and that his stats are not real. And they do not provide us with a good understanding of how good of a quarterback he's going to be going forward.
Speaking of being stubborn, just so that you're right, I mean, you guys can commiserate.
But yeah, I think I think Trubisky's a liability. Whereas Cousins, maybe he's not a savior or whatever, right? But he's a good enough quarterback to get things done. I think the Vikings have an advantage, and I think they're a better team than the Bears, even if they're away. So I think you're right to be kind of scared of that matchup, just because of how well the Bears have been playing, the fact that it's away, that Khalil Mack could be healthy, and so on. But I think that the Vikings are a better team.
Yeah, there's one thing I guess I just hang my hope on at this point. It's the Zimmer defense against a rookie quarterback, or against any quarterback. I think that's going to play a big role. I don't know. Anyway, fellas, have a happy Halloween. Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys next week.
Hey, appreciate you. Thanks for calling in, man.
That dude has a great voice, by the way.
He seems like a guy who calls into a lot of sports talk shows because it was very concise, it was very professional.
Yeah, it was very sports style. I liked it.
Yeah, it was great.
Call in more.
Yeah, it was that guy calls in and rips on Francesa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that's actually the first thing I thought.
Also random. So I have this problem sometimes when we're tweeting out the show. I'll tag you guys in the post, and sometimes I'll tag Luke Braun instead of like Luke. In Midway's here.
How many faux Yankas have you tagged?
6. No. But I was tagging Sam, except I accidentally tagged PFF Sam Munson.
Oh, that's why he retweeted it. But why? Why?
Hey,
okay, sure.
Keep making that mistake.
Thanks,
he's a good sport.
Yeah.
Next Twitter question is from Giles Farrell. Oh, friend of the program. Predictions on Thielen's next show design.
I think he means shoe design.
Oh.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Yeah. See, Adam Thielen spending too much time designing shoes and not putting 2 hands on the football. He's got too many hands on his shoes.
It's a fair take.
Let's see. What like other insanely classically Minnesotan thing can he?
A little big league.
Because I don't know. We've already
because he did Mighty Ducks, right?
Yeah, he did Mighty Ducks.
Mm-hmm.
He did Mauer.
Mm-hmm.
I think Diggs did Prince, right?
Diggs did Prince.
So Thielen can't bite that.
Probably
was it McKinnon who did Harambe?
Was it?
Yeah, a couple years ago.
He'll probably do like Bob Dylan or something like that.
Bob Dylan, whatever. I mean, I love Bob Dylan. I just him as a Minnesotan, whatever.
I don't think we really claim him.
Well, go to Dinkytown. They claim
Yeah,
him.
they claim him. Or you go to.
He went to the
he has
U
a
for
huge,
like one semester.
He has a huge mural in
Dinkytown.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, it's like on the back of Potbelly or something like that.
Not that one. I'm talking about the one that's by Poorhouse.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they claim him. He went to the University of Minnesota for a semester and left. Like, he doesn't claim Minnesota, so there's no reason to claim him.
So what about all the years before that?
What about Evil Knievel? He's Minnesotan.
Is he?
Well, he lives in Minnesota. I don't know if he's like Minnesotan.
I'll claim Terrell Suggs.
You know what'd be great? I think Rich Gannon still lives in Minnesota, right?
Yeah, he lives in Mound.
Yeah, let's get some Rich Gannon cleats going.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Or do we claim Brock Lesnar even though he was born in South Dakota?
yes.
Went to the U.
Oh, yeah.
Wrestled at the
You
U.
can
like-
claim Brock Lesnar.
yeah.
That would actually be pretty good.
Caller, who we got?
Hi, it's Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Michael, what's going on?
Do you consider Brock Lesnar Minnesotan?
Yes.
Ah, there you go. Thanks for calling in, Mike. What's on your mind, man?
So my question is for Reef and Yinka, because they're gonna tell me just like how it is.
Oh,
I need to
anime.
know, guys. Are the Vikings gonna make the playoffs?
I think so.
Yeah, the Vikings will make the playoffs. It'll be a roller coaster to get there. There'll be some, that feeling you get in your toes when they like a kicker is about to kick the field goal and you're just really worried they're gonna miss. That's how it's gonna feel for us to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the question is if it comes down. Do you think it comes down to weeks 16 and 17? I think it's very likely that they'll be in a playoff position by then. And the bigger question is, are those games going to end up being must-win games to make the playoffs? Or are they going to be seeding-related games? Or, hey, maybe the Vikings will have clinched, the 3 seed or something like that. So that I think is a more interesting question because I do think the Vikings are really well-positioned to make the playoffs.
No, I guess it just depends on like what happens with Chicago, right, and Green Bay. I mean, if like Green Bay loses to New England, but I guess who knows what was Aaron Rodgers, right? But I guess it just depends on those two as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I think if the Bears win one back against Green Bay, it's going to make that interesting. I think if the Lions can pick one of them off, which seems kind of unlikely, but it's certainly possible. I think that would make things a lot easier for the Vikings. Like, obviously, just inherently it makes things easier for the Vikings, but particularly given how close this race is, it could be kind of the deciding factor.
Okay, and I guess like one last thing is, Arif, props to you for asking Mike Zimmer the tough questions. I know he just completely blew you off, but you no one else asked like the tough questions. I mean, you have like the balls to actually ask like Mike Zimmer and have him just like look at you like, oh my, like he wants to kill you. But props off to you, Arif.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yep, see it. Wait, how come I was excluded from the playoff question?
Well, because we tell it like it is. He told you why. He
You had the
said,
same answer I would have
I
given.
want to ask. Well, but he doesn't know if you can trust your answer.
I have some issues, Michael. That just dawned on me.
Yeah, wait, just now?
Yeah. Yeah, because I assumed it was going to be an anime question, so I shut down. And then I came back up. I was like, wait a minute.
I do like when people come in and like, I have a question specifically for like Luke,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
And then
Steve.
it's a question that probably could be applicable.
right, yeah.
applicable
This
to
is not even
anybody.
necessarily like a draft question, right? It's just like, yeah, whatever.
I have a question for Yanka. Why do you think the Case Keenum is a fraud? It's like, I
that
haven't
headline's
answered-
following him everywhere, man.
What
That headline's following you everywhere.
is it?
Yeah, I mean, someone made a Kirk Cousins joke today about the Case Keenum as a fraud article to you today on Twitter.
Did they?
Do you not even check your own mentions?
Man, if I there's a
Yanka's
subsection.
got half of Twitter muted.
I actually don't, but I've had to pull away from Twitter because it's like just the most vile things get posted. Jason was telling me the other day that it's just like, Inka, you do not want to go to Reddit because there's just this dude who hates you, and he just goes off on and on and on.
Oh, I'm going to Reddit right now.
Well, Arif, you just log into your account and your burner account. Then you check recent commented posts. At Wyatt McMahon, Stefan sat out practice today. Should we be concerned if he doesn't play?
No, today is you really don't have to start worrying about players until like Thursday or Let's say if they practice Thursday and they
well,
they don't
he's listed
Friday.
on the injury report with ribs, right? Is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm checking real quick. So I gotta show up tomorrow.
But I don't think you have to worry until Thursday and or Friday.
Okay, so he's not. Oh, this is the week. Why did it go to week 1? That's weird. Week 9 injury report. Let's go. Stephon Diggs, rib, did not participate. I'm a little concerned.
How much for one rib? Have we just hit the spot of the season where it's like, I mean,
Where Stephon Diggs gets injured? Yes.
Yeah,
well,
He's been
I
injured every
wasn't gonna
season,
go
right?
that negative, but like any sort of minor thing on veterans/stars like that.
But we
I'm a
might
day
be
off.
Oh,
we
yeah,
might
yeah,
be
it's
close
pretty
enough to the bye where we could escape it.
Yeah. So my concern has been this: is that there have been like a bunch of studies done by fantasy football people about the impact that injury has on a player's production if they decide to play in a game where they show up on the injury report as questionable, probable, etc. Or I guess probable isn't a thing anymore. But wide receivers are so running backs are most likely to lose games to injury, but wide receivers are most susceptible to having their production dip if they appear on the injury report. And based off of my experience, I haven't done like a longitudinal study or I haven't looked at magnitudes or anything like that, but based off of my experience, Diggs seems to be even more affected by that, by the effect injury has on his performance than many other receivers already.
But
So
I mean, with that
I am
point,
just concerned about that in general.
with that point, we have seen as far as like injury reports, we have seen obviously wide receivers they deal with number of issues, ankle, arm, whatever the case is. But Diggs has consistently for the last 3 years battled a groin injury, which obviously
Right.
that affects that's a kind of a very specific injury that deals with him, him being
Like
able
movement.
to get
Yes.
in and out and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you feel
Do
like
I think ribs has the same impact? Probably not.
yeah?
But and
And
it's
to,
interesting.
just to that point, do you think that because it was specifically a groin that he would? That's part of the reason why he was so I can't even say it.
susceptible.
Yeah, susceptible to it.
It seemed like his. I mean, because we've seen receivers with like hamstring injuries and ankle injuries and groin injuries, and it seems like. And again, I keep on using the word "seems like" because I haven't done like a rigorous look at this. But it seems like those injuries impacted him more than a similar receiver having a groin injury or a hamstring injury or an ankle injury. Ribs doesn't affect movement, obviously, that much. And Diggs sustained this injury during the game. He left, was on the trainer's table, came back in the game. Had a pretty good game aside from the one thing.
Yeah.
Which you and I already agree, no one's really to blame for that, and there's no reason to blame
Yeah, I
that on
don't
like
really,
a rib injury,
I know.
right? Like so that that's not related. But
He
otherwise,
stopped the route because he's tired of running because of the rib.
yeah, it's just poking in my lung. But yeah, it's a pain management thing usually. I'm still more concerned than I'm not. But I think there's a good argument to say there's no reason to be concerned. So I get it, but I'm always going to be a little skeptical.
Yeah.
At Joe Schmo 84, does the coaching staff and/or trainers deserve any blame for the prolonged absence of Dalvin? Did they try and rush him back too soon?
I personally thought Dalvin came back a little bit too soon. I mean, they see him more than I do, so I could understand like, hey, if he's saying he's good to go, he looks healthy.
Well, if that's
Just
true,
wanna
I mean, you've been slacking on your stocking.
Yes,
There
I
you
have.
go.
Yes, I have been. But I thought it was a little bit too soon. I know there was a lot of like hype around getting him there. I know that they said like obviously he's ahead of schedule, but I did feel like I was more than okay with resting him for the first couple of games of the season and then really having him for the rest of the season. But it felt like he got on the field at probably about 90%, and that's kind of been scaling back like 5% every game. So right now, Dalvin Cook is maybe 75% at best. So I do think that they rushed him back too soon.
I don't think so. I think it's already always difficult to tell, if somebody's kind of rushed back too soon or anything like that. I think that if the hamstring injury is related at all to his ACL, that this would have been inevitable, right? Because the way it would be related is basically by overcompensating. Throughout the rehab process, you put more weight on one leg versus the other as a result of being injured. It's why Greg Childs in college sustained his initial patellar injury because of the ankle injury. It's why Cedric Griffin had multiple ACLs on both knees. Very often you'll end up overcompensating, changing your movement pattern, and that's not something you can fix very easily once you're out of rehab or out of injury. So if it's related, it might have already been inevitable, and if not, then it's not, right? And then it's not kind of the coaching staff or the trainer's fault. It's also insanely hard to detect a player changing their movement pattern if you're like a trainer or a coach or something like that. So because it can look very similar. Like, not many people notice that Steph Curry changed his the weight distribution of his shot, but that's been a huge contributor to why he's been significantly less injured over the past several years. So yeah, I don't think that that's I don't think that there's a reason to blame the coaching staff based on the information we have.
Caller, who we got? Drat.
Fine, we didn't want to talk to you anyways.
Yeah. No, they're fully on board. I'm blaming Sugarman. It's an inside job.
Fair enough.
So yeah, if he spent less time procuring donuts and spent more time on the training table taking care of the players, shoot. Wait, so is Sluter's donut club suspension lifted?
Was he suspended from the donut club?
Yeah, he's suspended because he talked about it on some radio show.
Oh, yeah, you're not supposed to talk about the donut club.
Yeah.
What? So is he back? Did he show up in the picture?
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
for a club that's supposed to be like Fight Club, people talk about Donut Club a lot.
Well, it's weird. I mean, so obviously it's Sugarman's club, so he can do whatever he wants, but he does like tweet it every week.
Yeah.
So it's like weird how secret it
Yeah,
is.
except I think like the minutia and like the rules and like the rituals and stuff, like that's supposed to be top secret.
Well, that's fair. But we know a lot of the rules, right? Like if you're late, you miss a week, or and if you're late multiple times, you're out unless I think you bring donuts. Like we know a lot of the shapes of the rules. It's kind of weird.
It's like no touching the donut until the prescribed time.
Yeah, that's a pretty important one. We know. Why do we know the rule? Who told us? That's weird.
I feel like
I don't remember where it might have been. Yeah, might have been Greenway. I mean, what are they going to do? Cut him?
Yeah.
Like,
Mike Doran one is pineapple a pizza topping.
Yeah.
well, I mean, by definition, but also,
It is.
yeah. I mean, I've defended this before. The only caveat is that like you cannot surprise someone with pineapple on pizza. They have to know going in that there's pineapple on it. But yeah, it can be a good pizza topping.
It's like dating me.
Okay, this got awkward. But yeah, I think it'd be good. It's not my favorite, but I've had Hawaiian pizza that I've really enjoyed.
Like, I'm not the kind of person that you can just like, hey, I have this friend, blind date. Like, you have to know, like, you're gonna go on a date with me.
Man, I would be such a horrible friend if I set up one of my friends with you.
You would be.
You know what's underrated though? Either like a
Skittles,
like a
Monroe.
spicy Italian sausage or pepperoni with pineapple.
Oh, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the saltiness is a critical component to having the pineapple on the pizza. Is having a salty.
Yeah.
Something to balance it out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of sausage, you guys like the crumbled sausage or like casing and sliced sausage?
I like the casing and slice.
Yeah.
But I think that most of the Italian sausages on pizzas are too sweet.
Really?
Which is weird because I just defended pineapple. But like, I mean, it's different for sausages, right? I'd like them to be spicier.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You
like it to be spicier, though? You don't even really like spicy foods that much.
What are you talking about? Last week I just ordered the spiciest wings I had on the menu.
Were we not just talking about, like, just a couple weeks ago, why you don't like Flamin' Hot Cheetos?
Yeah, because they're not a food that tastes like food.
But they're spicy.
It's a food-like product.
Dude, I love spicy food. What are you talking about? Look at this.
Oh, I know that. I remember specifically having a conversation with you where you...
There's a difference between not liking spicy food and not liking foods that exist solely for their spiciness.
But you're Bengali. Like, there's a lot of foods. You guys.
No, there's a lot of spicy food. They don't exist solely to be spicy. They have flavor.
Sure.
Maybe the Reddit comments are right. The ink always brings race into it.
Well, I mean, he brought race into it.
What are you talking about?
Okay. listeners can't obviously see what I see. So
See, I didn't know you were.
No one sees what you
See, I
see,
didn't know
Evan.
you were Bengali. I thought you were Southeast Asian.
Let's move on.
At Hawthorne J16, do you think the offense would be just as good? Oh, that was the guy who called in. At Rockbach, is Kevin Malone the most underrated character on The Office?
he's underrated, but I don't think he's the most underrated.
Stanley's pretty great.
Yeah,
Stanley's good.
Stanley's a mood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He wasn't on the show long, but I thought Nate, Warehouse Nate,
Warehouse Nate.
was great.
Yeah, fantastic.
Dwight, what do you have him doing? Well, he's going to take care of the beehive. And what if he fails? Then he dies. Dwight. Who's your favorite character from The Office?
I mean, is it cheating to say Dwight? Like, he's great.
Dwight.
he's
Dwight
fantastic.
is an all-time great character.
Yeah.
Do we actually? But that's the thing. Is like,
but
do
like,
we-
if we exclude
do
Michael
we-
Scott, Dwight, Jim,
Yep.
and then we pick, I mean, that's a more interesting conversation because you could go Creed, right?
yeah, I love that. That's who I was gonna say was the most underrated of.
Well,
of the
totally
show.
fair pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is so The Office, what it does really, really well is we kind of know these people in real life, right? Like in an
Yeah, we know
office-
versions of these people.
in an office setting. The problem is with Dwight is I feel like he has too many
Am I the
in,
Dwight?
in personality. No,
Oh,
you're
God.
not. No, you're not. You're not.
Nah.
I'm Jim, just
No.
like everybody.
Okay.
Well, no, that's the whole point of Jim is that everyone sees themselves in Jim.
But with the problem with
Bam,
the problem with Dwight is I feel like he has too many kind of personality types within him. Like he has geek, nerd, then
Really?
yeah, you have to separate the two.
I mean, fine. First, it's a pedantic separation.
But you
I
have
get
to
it.
separate the two.
You don't have to, but I get it. But it's not surprising to see the two combined in a personality.
Yeah, but no, but then you also kind of get stupid as well too.
That happens a lot. You've never met a stupid geek?
Yeah, myself.
That was set up.
Right, yeah. He's extremely confident and socially incapable and likes weird things. We know a lot of people like that.
But also is kind of a stud.
What?
Yes.
Not a stud.
Yeah. Pam's wedding?
With the running?
No, when he got one of Pam's bridesmaids.
Oh, that's what you mean by stud.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, some people are into that thing. Man, that happens.
but he's like surprisingly good.
You don't believe in soulmates? Someone out there for everyone.
Oh my God.
I don't
Let's
believe in
move on.
soulmates.
Dwight,
I'm
you look
sorry.
like you're going to a fish fry. I will put out. I feel like Kelly's an underrated character.
Kelly kind of wore on me.
Mm.
I wasn't into.
She started off pretty bland in like the first 2 seasons because I don't think that they really didn't settle into like going to the extremes
Right.
of every character until like the 3rd or 4th season, and then Kelly.
But you have to
moves-
watch the first two because the slow build I think is really important.
Yeah,
for
it's
the
very
show.
important
Yeah,
because obviously you see Pam and how she like evolves and stuff. Jim and Dwight kind of stay basically the same because
Right.
they started off very, very high. But yes, Kelly gets more and more towards her extreme. What's her name? Angela gets more and more towards her extreme.
that was a slow build.
That was
Yeah,
a very
It was
slow
good.
build.
Yeah.
And even
Angela and Dwight, what a couple.
even Kevin kind of becomes more of a slow build because
Really think I thought Kevin was always Kevin.
no, because like he definitely gets more.
It's
Where
a
it's
great
like,
Vikings podcast.
is a very great Vikings.
This is what happened.
I just think he eventually settles into like a very, very lovable character.
I get what you mean,
Yeah.
but still, even in season 1, like, oh, if you ever see 10,001 odds, take
you
it.
always take it.
So if John Cougar Mellencamp ever wins an Oscar. Something that bumped me is that, all right, so Dwight and Angela, Dwight stole Angela's baby's diaper to get a DNA test, and it showed that he wasn't the father,
right.
but then it turned out he was the father. Now, that wasn't tied up, but does it just explain that poop DNA is not great?
I don't think the show's all that scientifically accurate, but my guess is poop DNA is not the best.
Yeah. It wasn't even referenced, though.
Because, like, I mean, yeah, like the science in the office isn't great because there's the well, never mind.
All right, cool.
Go on.
Next question.
Yeah,
Yes.
good times.
Last question.
Last one. Iowa Josh, have you ever woken up in poop? Like, is there a drunk and forget? Like, there is drunk and forget stuff drunk and poop yourself drunk.
No, I've never. Well, first, I've never gotten drunk, so.
Well, all right. So drunk and or like
You've never
sick.
gotten drunk? I've gotten drunk more times than you.
You've gotten drunk?
Twice.
You don't
What?
drink.
Twice.
What?
20
This dude doesn't drink.
Okay, 21st birthday. First drink was a sangria. Finished that, and then
Finish that like a pitcher?
finished that. I mean,
Oh, okay.
you know. And then I kept getting shoved shots and whatnot. And by the way, if I ever were to drink, I don't really like drinking mixed drinks at all. Like, if I'm going to drink
Mixed drinks are great.
it's going to be shots.
Mixed drinks are great.
So,
Sexy ladies
21st and 22nd birthday. Both drunk.
All right, yeah. Well, you've gotten drunk more times than I have.
And puked both times. I'm a
you don't have any tolerance.
huge lightweight.
Yeah,
And even if I did
because you
have,
don't drink.
no, but I'm probably
Anyway,
I probably
the
would-
answer is I've never woken up in poop.
no. I
Now
never
you've
have.
had the flu.
What? No.
No.
Do you wake up and poop a lot with the flu? Is
I
that one of the
don't get the
symptoms?
flu.
I've also never been. I've never been like felt the feeling of hungover. Because I puked both times. So
Yeah.
I was
Lucky.
I was
Wow.
great
Yeah.
the very
Yeah.
next day.
Solid. That's a good birthday.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about a hangover. All right, so it feels like the 98 NFC title game, the 2000 NFC title game, the 09 NFC title game, except worse, and you want carbs. You want basically anything that has like a shred of sugar in it, like you just immediately want. Because like in college for me, for a long time, the everyone has hangover cravings. I just wanted like a can of regular Sprite at room temperature. I don't know why,
Ginger
but that
ale,
was
man.
always a go-to.
ginger ale.
No, Sprite.
Sprite.
Yeah,
I mean, Sprite at room temperature, I think, is underrated.
maybe even Sprite remix if I was really feeling really feisty.
I mean, Sprite at room temperature, I think it is.
Do they still
underrated.
make Sprite remix?
Yes, they do.
Oh,
Yes, they do. They actually, if you, I think they are having them more so in like gas stations and stuff.
well, we're ending the show. We're going to the gas station.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Let's see if that got some Surge or Volt.
Or Mountain Dew Livewire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That Halo branded.
Gamer fuel. What are you gentlemen working on the rest of the week?
I got a piece on Ding Ding Hunter coming up. Hopefully I finish it. And instead of doing a film preview for the Lions, I'm going to do like a State of the NFC North kind of thing.
I only have a movie premiere that Arif's gonna watch sometime.
Yeah, I got to go watch it.
Yeah, sometime.
Everyone go out and check out Yinka's movie.
Thanks.
It drops on Friday.
Heart Wound?
Heart wound.
Yeah.
Appreciate the support.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do we have the trailer up? Yeah, I can get it. Oh, we're gonna play Yinka's trailer.
Yeah, the audio version is going to be great.
No,
I mean, the audio version whenever I'm on here is
no, like actors cut commentary. Tilt the screen, and then Yinka will give you play-by-play.
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
See, in this scene, we were thinking about...
We're thinking about lunch. Like, we want to go Potbelly's. We want to go Quiznos because there's no craft services. Actually, Yinka, have you worked on a project where there's craft services?
Yeah, that's why I became an actor.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah, it is me.
Yinka, why are you making that baby cry?
So the funny thing about this baby is
What you trying to get into?
she would cry.
Oh, snap. You riding shotgun, baby.
So
Yinka, I see your parenting style as like the divorced dad who sees her kids every other weekend.
Yeah, this is totally... You're not even acting.
Where you want to go? Paris? All right, we can make it.
Yeah, you're definitely not acting. This
So,
is perfect. This is just you.
you're welcome. I'm a single father.
Precious.
who's- What?
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And the plot of the story is single father. I'm going to college, don't have very much money. And my estranged father, who is from Liberia, he kind of comes back on my doorstep and wants to reinsert himself into my life. and I'm having to go through the motions of, do I want to accept him emotionally and, emotionally accept him back in, as well as, let him reinsert himself into my life. And he wants to be also a part of his grandchild's life. And, I'm having to deal with all that. And on top of, I have this child that the mother is no longer in the picture, and I have to take care of it by myself.
Do we know why the mother's not in the picture? Is that in the movie? Is that a spoiler? Is she dead? Divorced?
The
relationship just fell apart.
It gets referenced.
Okay.
But very, very, very subtly it gets referenced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You said there was a comedy.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
mean, Yinka's in it. It's gonna be pretty hilarious.
It's gonna be funny. There was a scene that I like. I made it more comedic than it originally was.
Then it should have been, or
well, he was just like, he wanted me to find the extremes of each scene, so I was like, all right, I'm taking this direction.
No,
that's good. That's good direction.
The outtakes is that the dad's not from Liberia; he's from Libya, so it's like the ghost of Muammar Gaddafi. I made it out. I know I'm dead, but
it's the wrong African country.
Yeah, I know. That's why it says from Libya.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen to Hour 1. Show's available on iTunes. I know my geography, Arif.
Do you?
No. iTunes, Stitcher, iRadio, Spotify, Google Play, zonecoverage.com/machine. But for Arif and Yinka, I'm Eric.
What? What?
Oh, what?
That's right.
Wow.
Identity theft is a real thing, Dwight. I'm Andy saying, yeah, no, sorry, bye-bye.